Hello! Today I'm going to show you how I made my fiber optic jellyfish costume using cardboard, fiber optics, and a bunch of creativity. Also, please take a moment to appreciate my cute little pumpkin wrap top. It's adorable. Look at those cats. This is a pretty simple project. It just uses cardboard, fabric, hot glue, LED lights that you can get from Walmart or the Dollar Tree, and safety pins. There are a couple other things in there, but the main thing for this project are going to be the fiber optics. That's what really brings this costume up a notch and makes it so neat. I was able to make this fiber optic skirt or light belt or whatever you want to call it for about $10, and I actually have a tutorial a couple videos back on my YouTube channel. It's super simple to make as well. Alright, but enough about that. Let's go ahead and jump into how I made my jellyfish hat. The very first thing I did was gather up some cardboard that I had laying around the house, and I cut out something that was the circumference of my head. The exact thickness, I don't know. It was like 2.5 inches. You could go a little thinner. It does not need to be this thick. There were some pretty pointy edges on this cardboard, so I just went around it, kind of bending it and smoothing it out so that it was a little more flat and laid flatter and closer to my head. This just allowed the cardboard to have a smoother fit on my head and make it a little more comfortable, as you can see here. Now this little headband, there's nothing keeping it on my head, so I went ahead and I cut out 2 thinner pieces of cardboard, and I made one the length of my head from the forehead to the back and one from my left ear to my right ear, and these are going to act as like support beams, I suppose, on the top of the hat so it doesn't fall down. Alright, so this is what I got so far. I know it doesn't look super fantastic, but I'm okay with that. It's not perfectly centered either, and there's still some like pokey bits. But it works. And there's also like a little bit of give. Yeah. So I wanted it to kind of sit on my forehead. That way it's a little more stable and not just sitting on the top of my head, but I also didn't want it digging down into my ears. And it might not be a real hat, but it still gave me some beautiful hat hair. Right, here's the hat if you're having a little bit of trouble visualizing it. Like I said, it's not perfectly straight, but it fits well enough. I'm going to reinforce it with probably some hot glue and some more tape, but this is what I've got for now. And it works. It's hat-shaped, head-shaped. It's like a helmet. The next thing you're going to do is measure your shoulders from the left to the right or the right to the left, and you're going to make a circle. I just did that by tracing a circle with this method. I don't know what this method is called. It didn't really work super well, but in the end, I got a circle. This circle is going to act as the brim of our hat, so the little helmet hat is going to go on it, and then I'm going to cut out a circle in the center of the circle. Alrighty, I have my hat. It's a nice hat, a very nice hat. I think it's gonna work fine because it's a little wider than my shoulders, so my arms and shoulders won't be like, you know, caught the whole time. But yeah, it's not the best hat. It's not super comfortable. It is a little tight. Like, I cannot shift it. I made it like the shape of my head instead of just making it like perfectly round, so like it doesn't spin. But yeah, that's the hat. I do need to stabilize the little flappity flaps. I put the smaller flaps on the front and the back. That way if I do have to stabilize it and bulk it up, it's not like underneath obscuring my vision or something. I'm not really sure what I'm doing yet. I'm just figuring out the base as I go. So now that I had my base hat finished, it was time to bulk it up and turn it into a jellyfish. The very first thing I did was to cut 3 long strips of cardboard and then kind of start bending them into a curved shape. I was able to tape and hot glue these down onto the base of the hat, and this is going to give me a nice dome shape to put my fabric on top of. For the fabric of this dress, I wanted to reuse things that I already had on hand. I had this old prom or bridesmaid dress that I had cut up and used for another project, so I was just going to use the leftovers for this. I was able to cut out 3 circles. This was going to be for the top, the inner lining, and the overlayer. I did choose to just hot glue most of the fabric on, but before I show you how I did that, I did want to give you a little look of the hat so you can get a better idea of what that looks like without fabric. Now, I didn't do anything super fancy for this. I basically just took my circles and I started applying hot glue around the edge and then sticking the fabric down onto the hot glue. That's literally what I did. Yeah, there's not much explaining to do. So right now I have the top fabric and the bottom fabric glued on. They look a little like rough. You can kind of see around the edges here. I mean, it's not perfect, but I am going to be covering this with an overlayer once I add on the lights. Used all I had of this sparkly stuff that I got from the Dollar Tree like years ago before it went to $1.25. And then I have some of this left over from when I made my Isabella dress, and it's like this sparkly organza type, and it's wired. Anyway, so I used the rest of that. I only had enough to make 4 tentacles with this and 2 tentacles with this. Surprisingly enough, I think that 6 tentacles are going to be enough. So yeah, we're just gonna do 6 tentacles, and then I'm going to also have the fiber optic tentacles and all the lights on the top. And maybe more lights hanging out, I'm not sure yet. So I think it's going to be enough, and it's going to look good. So I really like these jumbo oversized tentacles, they're very cute. I gathered up all my light options and I started experimenting. So I only have enough fiber optics to go around half of the hat because my waist is not as big as the circumference of this hat. But it looks okay, and really I'm fine with having the fibers just on the back because then they're not getting in my face. I kind of have this nice little window here I can reach out. I'm gonna flip it just so you can see what it would look like if I had fibers all the way around. It looks cool, but it's just kind of, it's in the way. So I'm okay with how it is. Also, they kind of do itch the arms and stuff just a little bit if they poke you. So it's perfectly fine having them all in the back. I found out though that this weights the hat significantly. I don't know if you can see that. It pulls it back because of the weight. So what I'm going to do to counteract that is I'm going to put all my battery packs on the front of the hat. I am no expert in making hats, and quite frankly this one's not made that well, so I'll probably end up throwing the hat out after the end of Halloween. I'll just cut off all the tentacles for different projects and try and save any of the fabric I can. So I also did not want to glue on my fiber optics, and I don't want to glue on my lights and my light packs either, or like permanently stitch them in or anything. So my solution for that was to take a little piece of ribbon, I don't know, maybe it's about like 8 inches. I folded it in half and I hot glued it down on the bottom, and then I put extra glue over the top. And then I was just able to tie in the fiber optic belt. As you can see, if I had 2 belts, I could go all the way around. Originally, I was planning on putting the fiber optics on the inside of the tentacles, and I still kind of wish I did, but I ended up going on the outside. We'll see if that ends up working well. I did this because when I wore the fiber optics under a tulle skirt, it didn't look as good. The fibers were really like held down under the skirt, and it didn't allow for as much movement. So I wanted them to be on the very outside of the jellyfish hat, on the outer part of the other tentacles. That way they could have more free motion and just have the ability to like fly outwards and spin around and have that movement, because that's what makes them look so cool. They're not that cool when they're sitting still. In order to make my LED lights removable, I just safety pinned everything in place while putting the battery packs towards the front. Here you can see a close-up of those safety pins. Those worked really well for the string light part, but I needed a different way to keep the battery packs in place. So I came up with this little present idea where I basically just wrapped them up with a bow and then safety pinned the bow onto the hat. Alright, so this is what the hat looks like with the purple lights, the yellow white LEDs, and then the blue white fiber optics. And I think it is just too bright. It takes away from the purple, and it kind of takes away from the fiber optics, so I'm going to turn them off, see what they look like. Ooh. I think I will take the yellow LEDs off. I have one more pack of these purples, and then I'll just kind of rearrange those all. They take a lot more battery power, so that's going to weigh down the hat a lot. So maybe I will just actually leave what's up there. We'll see. I did choose to just put purple lights on the top because the other ones were just too bright. Another thing that was going to help dull the lights and make the hat look more put together and professional was going to be a little fabric cover. So now I can take my cover and I'm just going to put it over my jellyfish and basically cinch it all together. It's great because this fabric's see-through, but it's not like a sheer curtain see-through. When it's over top of something else, you barely even see it. So I'll show you what that looks like. So I have my battery packs, my LEDs there. You can see it's transparent, but when put over top, you barely see anything. You can't see the lights at all, and you can pretty much just see the ribbons on the battery pack. So it works really, really well. I'm gonna cinch it on and give it a little try on. Alright, so here's the finished hat or jellyfish costume. I'm just gonna wear probably like the fiber optic top under this and then like, I don't know, just shorts for my legs or jeans just depending on the temperature. Got all my little fibers and I can kind of pull some of the back fibers to the front. And then I have all of these gorgeous fibers in the back. And I have my sparkly tentacles, and I'm so excited to show you what this is going to look like in the dark, but I need to wait for it to get dark. The cover didn't turn out exactly how I wanted it. I wanted there to be like a little bit of fringe hanging down, but I ended up having to sew in a second channel. This is the first channel, this is the second one, because the first one was just not the circumference wasn't big enough to get around the whole hat. I'm not pulling the stitches though, I don't care. This is a nighttime costume anyway. So yeah, it's very jellyfishy. I'm kind of going for fun, whimsical, purple light up. It's not based on any real jellyfish. It's just kind of like a fun interpretation and it's recognizable, so that's what matters.